Imagine a peaceful neighborhood park on a bright sunny day, a place where children laugh, birds chirp, and the world feels calm. But in an instant, this tranquil setting is shattered by the roar of motorcycle engines. A group of 6 intimidating bikers storms the area, their laughter echoing as they taunt an elderly man sitting alone on a park bench. What they don't know is that this frail-looking man, holding a simple cane, is a 91-year-old war veteran, a man with stories of heroism etched into every wrinkle on his face. "Hey, Grandpa, you lost?" jeers one of the bikers, his voice dripping with mockery. They laugh, confident in their strength and numbers, as they surround him. But then, in an unexpected twist, the elderly man moves with lightning speed, disarming one biker and bringing him to his knees with a single precise motion. His voice, steady and commanding, cuts through their bravado. "You boys have no idea who you're messing with. This isn't just a tale of bravery. It's a story of resilience, community, and the power of standing up for what's right." Today, we're diving into an extraordinary narrative that reminds us why courage isn't measured by age, but by the strength of one's character. In this video, you'll witness the unfolding of an inspiring encounter that's both heart-pounding and deeply meaningful. We'll explore how one man's legacy of bravery rallied an entire community to stand together, facing down intimidation with unity and grit. Along the way, I'll share my thoughts, dive into real-world examples of similar acts of courage, and leave you with lessons that resonate far beyond this story. Before we dive into the full account, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it compelling. It's your support that helps us bring stories like this to life and keeps our community thriving. Now, buckle up as we unravel the incredible tale of how an unassuming veteran turned the tide against overwhelming odds, and how it changed everything for a small, tight-knit neighborhood. As the morning sun bathed the park in a golden glow, Mr. Henry Lawrence sat on his favorite bench, a worn cane resting by his side. To the casual observer, he seemed like any other elderly man enjoying a peaceful morning. But Mr. Lawrence was anything but ordinary. A decorated war veteran, he had spent decades serving his country, earning medals and scars that told a story of bravery, loss, and resilience. His stooped posture and weathered face hid the sharp mind and indomitable spirit of a man who had faced death and triumphed. This serenity was shattered by the rumble of motorcycle engines. 6 riders, clad in leather jackets adorned with menacing symbols, roared into the park. Their presence immediately drew uneasy glances from families and joggers. The bikers exuded arrogance, their loud laughter and crude jokes creating an oppressive atmosphere. Spotting Mr. Lawrence alone on the bench, they approached with mockery in their eyes. "What's up, old-timer? This seat taken," one sneered, leaning on his bike. The others laughed, circling him like wolves closing in on prey. Mr. Lawrence didn't flinch. He looked up calmly, his steel-gray eyes meeting theirs. "This bench is for anyone who respects it," he replied, his voice firm but measured. The bikers didn't appreciate his tone. "Respect? Huh?" the leader mocked, snatching Mr. Lawrence's cane and twirling it. "How about you show us some respect first?" The tension in the air was palpable. Onlookers froze, unsure of what to do. But Mr. Lawrence remained composed. "Son," he said, his voice steady, "put that cane down before you regret it." The leader laughed, but his amusement was short-lived. With a sudden, fluid motion, Mr. Lawrence rose, his hand flashing out to snatch the cane back. Before anyone could react, he used it to sweep the leader's legs out from under him, sending him crashing to the ground. The bikers were stunned, their bravado replaced by disbelief. What they once started. But Mr. Lawrence didn't give them time to regroup. He stood tall, his military training kicking in as he positioned himself defensively. "Listen carefully," he said, his voice cutting through the chaos. "You can walk away now, with your pride a little bruised. Or you can stay and find out just how much fight this old man has left." The leader scrambled to his feet, glaring at Mr. Lawrence. "You'll pay for that, old man," he growled. But before he could act, a group of onlookers began to step forward. A jogger, a mother with a stroller, A man walking his dog. They all moved closer, their expressions determined. "You heard him," said the jogger, standing shoulder to shoulder with Mr. Lawrence. "This park is for everyone." Emboldened by Mr. Lawrence's bravery, the community rallied together. The bikers, realizing they were now outnumbered and unwelcome, hesitated. Their leader spat on the ground. "This isn't over," he hissed, before signaling his gang to leave. As the motorcycles roared away, the park erupted in applause. Strangers approached Mr. Lawrence, thanking him and sharing their admiration. But he waved them off with a modest smile. "It wasn't just me," he said, gesturing to the crowd. "This was a community standing up for what's right. That's the real victory." The encounter became the talk of the town, a symbol of courage and unity. It reminded everyone that standing together against intimidation can turn the tide, no matter the odds. Mr. Lawrence returned to his bench, the morning sun warming his face. He had once fought for his country on distant battlefields, but today, he had fought for his community, a victory just as meaningful. The story of Mr. Henry Lawrence is not just a fictional depiction of courage and determination. It serves as a lens through which we can examine the power of individual and collective action in the face of injustice. His stand against the bikers in the park is a microcosm of larger societal struggles, offering valuable insights into how bravery, community, and leadership intersect to drive meaningful change. By analyzing his actions and comparing them to real-world examples, we can uncover the deeper implications of standing up for what's right and the impact of solidarity in overcoming challenges. At the heart of Mr. Lawrence's actions lies a universal truth. Change often begins with one person's willingness to take a stand. Throughout history, individuals who refuse to back down in the face of adversity have catalyzed movements and reshaped societies. Rosa Parks, for example, didn't start the civil rights movement, but her refusal to give up her bus seat became a symbol of resistance against systemic racism. Her seemingly small action rippled outward, inspiring protests, boycotts, and ultimately, legislative change. In a similar vein, Mr. Lawrence's decision to confront the bikers demonstrates the power of individual action to set off a chain reaction, inspiring others to join the cause and take a stand against wrongdoing. The story also highlights the critical role of community solidarity. The actions of the jogger, the mother, and the dog walker symbolize how collective effort can amplify the impact of individual bravery. This principle is evident in countless real-life scenarios. Consider the response of ordinary citizens during the 2019 protests in Hong Kong, where millions of people took to the streets to resist oppressive policies. Their unified stand, despite the risks involved, sent a clear message about the power of community action. Similarly, during natural disasters or crises, we often witness people coming together to provide support and relief, showcasing the strength that lies in unity. Mr. Lawrence's story serves as a reminder that when people stand together, even the most daunting challenges can be overcome. Leadership, as exemplified by Mr. Lawrence, is another crucial element of the narrative. His response to the bikers was firm yet composed, demonstrating the qualities of effective leadership: courage, wisdom, and the ability to inspire others. These traits are not confined to extraordinary situations. They are equally relevant in everyday life. In workplaces, for instance, leaders who handle conflict with empathy and resilience often create environments of mutual respect and cooperation. Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, is a prime example of this. Under his leadership, the company shifted its culture to one that values collaboration and growth, resulting in significant success. Mr. Lawrence's actions remind us that true leadership isn't about exerting dominance, but about guiding others with integrity and purpose, even in the most challenging moments. However, the story also underscores the dangers of bystander apathy. The initial hesitance of others in the park to intervene is reflective of a broader societal issue: the tendency to remain passive in the face of injustice. This phenomenon, often referred to as the bystander effect, has been studied extensively in social psychology. One of the most infamous cases illustrating this is the 1964 murder of Kitty Genovese, where reports suggested that numerous neighbors heard her cries for help but failed to act. While the accuracy of these accounts has been debated, the incident has become a symbol of the consequences of inaction. In contrast, when people choose to step up, as the jogger and others did in Mr. Lawrence's story, they can prevent harm and foster a culture of accountability. Real-world examples further emphasize the importance of choosing action over passivity. In 2019, passengers on a Paris train intervened to stop a man attempting to assault a woman, demonstrating how collective action can deter wrongdoing. Similarly, initiatives like bystander training programs equip individuals with the skills to safely intervene in situations of harassment or violence, showing that with the right tools and mindset, anyone can make a difference. The park incident mirrors these real-life scenarios, illustrating that while fear may be natural, it is the decision to act in spite of it that defines our character and shapes our communities. Beyond moments of crisis, standing up for justice also manifests in everyday acts of advocacy and support. Whether it's calling out discriminatory behavior, supporting a colleague facing harassment, or amplifying the voices of marginalized individuals, these actions contribute to a more equitable society. Campaigns like #MeToo and Black Lives Matter have shown the transformative power of collective voices, reminding us that silence often perpetuates injustice, while action, no matter how small, can lead to systemic change. The analysis of Mr. Lawrence's story also invites reflection on the broader societal structures that allow injustices to persist. While individual and community actions are essential, they must be complemented by systemic efforts to address root causes. Educational programs that teach conflict resolution, workplace policies that promote inclusivity, and legislative measures to protect vulnerable populations are all examples of how institutions can play a role in fostering a culture of justice and accountability. Ultimately, the story of Mr. Lawrence is a testament to the enduring values of courage, solidarity, and leadership. It reminds us that while we may not all face dramatic situations like his, opportunities to stand up for what's right present themselves every day. Whether it's speaking out against a bully, supporting a friend in need, or advocating for broader social change, each of us has the power to make a difference. The lessons drawn from this story and its real-life parallels are clear. When individuals act with courage, when communities stand together, and when leaders rise to the occasion, even the most challenging situations can be overcome. The choice to act, rather than remain passive, is what defines us as individuals and as a society. Mr. Lawrence's story is more than an inspiring tale. It is a call to action, urging us to embrace our collective responsibility to create a more just and compassionate world. Reflecting on the story of Mr. Henry Lawrence and its broader implications invites an exploration of both the personal and societal responsibilities that each of us carries. It calls us to consider how our own actions, or lack thereof, shape the world around us. As we examine Mr. Lawrence's courage in confronting injustice, we are faced with a fundamental question. How far are we willing to go in standing up for what is right? This question holds personal weight, but it also resonates on a larger societal level, where the choices made by individuals can collectively alter the course of history. On a personal level, Mr. Lawrence's actions challenge us to confront the barriers we often place in front of ourselves: fear, hesitation, and the instinct to avoid conflict. In everyday life, we are constantly presented with moments where we can either remain passive or step up and make a difference. Whether it's challenging a friend who expresses harmful views, reporting unethical behavior at work, or offering support to someone who is struggling, the decisions we make in these smaller moments are not as insignificant as they may seem. These actions ripple outward, influencing our communities, our workplaces, and the broader world. I think back to my own experiences and moments where I was faced with the decision to act or remain silent. There have been times when I have been hesitant, unsure of how my intervention might be perceived or whether it would truly make a difference. These moments often present a dilemma. Will my action be enough to change the situation, or will it only expose me to criticism or backlash? Yet, when I reflect on instances where I chose to speak up or stand firm, the impact was often more significant than I anticipated. In one instance, I witnessed a colleague being unfairly treated in a professional setting. Despite initial hesitation, I decided to address the issue directly with those involved. It was a difficult conversation, but ultimately, it led to a positive change in the workplace culture and strengthened the bonds of trust among my peers. This personal reflection underscores a critical truth. Often, we are our own biggest obstacles when it comes to taking action. The fear of stepping outside of our comfort zones, of facing potential conflict, or of failing in our efforts can hold us back. But when we look at the broader picture, we realize that the consequences of inaction are far more detrimental than the discomfort of speaking out. In this sense, Mr. Lawrence's actions serve as a reminder that sometimes the smallest acts of courage can lead to the most profound changes. On a broader societal level, the story raises important questions about the systems that allow injustices to persist and the ways in which we, as a collective society, either enable or challenge these systems. When we consider social movements like the civil rights movement, the feminist movement, or the LGBTQ+ rights movement, it becomes clear that societal change is rarely achieved without individuals stepping up and challenging the status quo. These movements were not the product of one person's actions alone. They were the result of collective voices rising in unison to demand justice, equality, and human dignity. However, even as we recognize the power of collective action, we must also acknowledge that not all communities are equally equipped to mobilize. Systemic inequalities, whether they are based on race, gender, class, or other factors, can create significant barriers for certain groups of people. In these instances, the need for solidarity and advocacy becomes even more urgent. It is not enough for those in privileged positions to remain silent or passive in the face of injustice. We must all take responsibility for dismantling the structures that perpetuate harm. Mr. Lawrence's willingness to confront the bikers in the park, even when others hesitated, serves as an example of how each of us can use our voices and actions to advocate for those who may not have the same privileges or power. Reflecting on this, I am reminded of the work being done by activists and advocates around the world who are challenging systems of oppression in real time. Take the example of Malala Yousafzai, who, after surviving an assassination attempt by the Taliban for advocating for girls' education, continued to speak out on behalf of marginalized girls everywhere. Her personal story is one of courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to justice. It illustrates the broader impact that a single individual can have when they refuse to accept the status quo. While not everyone will face the same magnitude of opposition that Malala did, her example serves as a powerful reminder that the act of standing up for others, especially those who cannot speak for themselves, has the power to change the world. The broader reflections from Mr. Lawrence's story also call attention to the importance of empathy and the responsibility we all share in ensuring that our communities are places of safety, respect, and dignity for everyone. Empathy is the catalyst that drives us to take action. Without empathy, we remain indifferent to the struggles of others. It is through empathy that we begin to recognize the interconnectedness of our lives and the profound impact that individual actions can have on the broader social fabric. In our increasingly interconnected world, the need for empathy and understanding across cultural, social, and political divides has never been more pressing. Social media, for all its positive aspects, often exacerbates divisions and reinforces echo chambers. The ease with which we can block, mute, or unfollow those with differing views can lead to a narrowing of perspectives. This can contribute to a sense of isolation and a lack of understanding of the challenges faced by others. Yet, as Mr. Lawrence's story shows us, empathy requires active engagement with those who are different from us, stepping outside of our comfort zones, and being willing to confront uncomfortable truths. There are countless examples of empathy driving social change. One such example is the growing movement toward climate action, where people from diverse backgrounds have come together to demand policies that address environmental degradation and protect future generations. This movement has been fueled by the shared belief that the planet's well-being is interconnected with the well-being of all its inhabitants. In much the same way, our actions towards social justice and equality are not just about improving the lives of specific groups. They are about creating a more compassionate, fair, and sustainable world for everyone. As we reflect on these broader implications, we must ask ourselves, how are we contributing to the larger narrative of justice and compassion in our own lives? Are we choosing to stay silent when we witness injustice? Or are we taking active steps to create change? The lessons from Mr. Lawrence's story and from the countless real-world examples of courage and advocacy remind us that no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. When we choose to stand up for what is right, we are not just shaping our own lives, but helping to shape a more just and equitable world for those who will come after us. Ultimately, the personal and broader reflections inspired by Mr. Lawrence's actions are a call to action for all of us, whether on an individual scale or a global one. The time to act is always now. Each of us has the power to make a difference, and together, our collective actions can transform the world into a place where justice, empathy, and courage are not the exception but the norm. The question is not whether we can make a difference, but whether we are willing to try. The legacy of Mr. Lawrence, and of those who stand up for what is right, is a testament to the enduring truth that when we rise together, we are capable of achieving greatness. As we bring this discussion to a close, it is important to reflect not only on the events we have explored, but also on the deeper lessons they offer for our own lives. The story of Mr. Henry Lawrence, along with the broader themes of courage, advocacy, and justice, leaves us with powerful insights that resonate far beyond the specific circumstances in which they unfolded. These lessons, rooted in the courage of a single individual and the collective responsibility of a community, have the potential to inspire change and growth in all of us. The first and perhaps most significant lesson is the importance of standing up for what is right, even when it is uncomfortable or dangerous. In a world where the fear of confrontation or the desire for peace can lead us to remain silent in the face of injustice, Mr. Lawrence's actions stand as a testament to the fact that silence is often complicity. His courage in confronting the bikers, despite knowing the risks, serves as a reminder that each of us has a role to play in shaping the world around us, whether it's in small, everyday interactions or in moments of larger societal upheaval. The choice to speak out or act in the face of wrongdoing is one of the most powerful tools we have to create a more just and compassionate world. This lesson extends beyond the specific acts of courage we may be called to take. It also calls us to question the systems and structures that allow injustice to persist in the first place. As we examine Mr. Lawrence's actions, we are reminded that one person's willingness to challenge the status quo can spark significant change. However, the work of dismantling oppressive systems is not the responsibility of one individual alone. It requires the collective effort of many, whether it's confronting racial inequality, advocating for gender justice, or standing up for the rights of marginalized communities. It is the collective action of individuals, working in solidarity, that can create lasting social change. Mr. Lawrence's example encourages us not only to take action ourselves, but to support and amplify the efforts of others who are doing the hard work of challenging systemic oppression. A second important lesson from this story is the value of empathy and understanding. In a world that can often seem divided and polarized, it is easy to forget that empathy, genuine understanding, and concern for others is the bridge that connects us. Mr. Lawrence's willingness to step into the role of advocate for those who were vulnerable, even when it was not his immediate responsibility, underscores the profound power of empathy in creating positive change. It reminds us that empathy is not a passive feeling but an active force that drives us to take meaningful action in support of others. Empathy, however, requires more than just feeling for others. It requires understanding their struggles, their fears, and their needs. It requires us to listen, to step outside our own experiences, and to see the world through someone else's eyes. This is particularly important when we think about the ways in which power dynamics shape our interactions with others, whether it is in the workplace, in the classroom, or in our communities. We are constantly navigating relationships in which some voices are amplified while others are silenced. It is through empathy that we can recognize when someone is being marginalized or silenced. And it is through empathy that we can act in ways that uplift those voices. A third lesson is the importance of resilience. Mr. Lawrence's ability to confront danger and stand firm in his beliefs despite the risks to his own safety speaks to the power of resilience in the face of adversity. Resilience is not simply about enduring hardship, it is about remaining steadfast in our values. Even when it seems like the world is pushing back against us, it is the ability to hold on to hope and determination, even in the face of setbacks or challenges. In many ways, resilience is the quality that allows us to continue pushing forward, even when the journey is difficult or uncertain. In our own lives, resilience plays a critical role in the pursuit of justice and equality. There will be moments when we feel discouraged, when the obstacles seem too great, or when the forces of resistance appear insurmountable. But it is in these moments that our resilience is tested. Will we retreat, or will we continue the fight for what is right? The resilience demonstrated by individuals like Mr. Lawrence and countless others throughout history reminds us that even when the path is difficult, the journey is worthwhile. Each small step toward justice and equality is a victory in itself, and it is through our collective resilience that we can overcome the challenges we face. A fourth and final lesson is the importance of personal responsibility in creating social change. While it is easy to look at societal problems and feel powerless, the story of Mr. Lawrence reminds us that each of us has the power to make a difference. This power may not always manifest in dramatic or visible ways, but every choice we make, whether it's how we treat others, how we speak out against injustice, or how we contribute to our communities, has the potential to create ripple effects that can change the world. The story of one person taking a stand in the face of injustice is not just a story of individual heroism. It is a call to all of us to recognize that we, too, have a responsibility to act. This sense of personal responsibility can be applied to all areas of life, from challenging harmful beliefs in our social circles to advocating for systemic change in our communities and beyond. The idea that we all have a role to play in creating a better world is a powerful one. It encourages us to not wait for someone else to take action, but to be the catalyst for change ourselves. Whether through activism, advocacy, or simply standing up for what is right in our day-to-day lives, the responsibility to create a more just world lies with each of us. As we draw our reflections to a close, we are left with the understanding that the lessons from Mr. Lawrence's story are timeless and universal. Courage, empathy, resilience, and personal responsibility are qualities that transcend specific circumstances and apply to all of us. In every moment of our lives, they are the foundation of social justice, the building blocks of meaningful change, and the qualities that will guide us as we confront the challenges of our time. Ultimately, the story of Mr. Lawrence is not just a reminder of the importance of standing up for others. It is an invitation to reflect on how we, too, can make a difference. It challenges us to ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to live in? And how are we contributing to the creation of that world? By taking the lessons from this story to heart, we can all become agents of change, ensuring that justice, empathy, and resilience are not just abstract ideals but living, breathing forces in our communities and our world.